Hello and happy Saturday, everybody. I'm going to wait a minute here to give people some time to get into the chat in the stream, and then we will get this going. I'm going to pull up my comments here for anyone who wants to ask a question, comment, so on and so forth. So I'm going to give it a minute here. I hope you all are well here on this Saturday, June 12th. It's noon here in the Eastern U.S., so I hope wherever you are doing well and are healthy and happy and so on and so forth. So if you do have a comment, please put that, wherever you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, and I'll be happy to answer it the best I can. So don't have anything formally planned for today. We're going to keep this to around 30 minutes so that you can get on with your day. I can get on with my day. I'm meeting my parents later for dinner. So I do have a few things to do before I meet up with them. So if you missed the stream last week, it was a huge stream. It was 2 hours long, had like 10 different guests. And that stream was designed to support the Belonging in Statistics Initiative at UCLA. So go back and watch that if you haven't, if those issues are important to you. And what I can say about that is if I go into my YouTube analytics and look at sort of who watches my videos, it's over 2/3 are men. And I'm really hoping that initiatives like Belonging in Statistics can open up stats and STEM fields to more people, and we can begin to change some of those dynamics. So that's kind of the goal there. Now, if you've never thrown a few dollars to the channel using my PayPal tip jar or something like that, or the GoFundMe, I am going to pass along any donations I receive in June to that initiative. So if you have $5 or $10 that you can spare, just know that it's going to go to that cause, and once it's there, it'll be doubled. So they're going to match if they meet the goal. They're going to match. So it's a very good time to, if you have $5, $10 or more, I guess, to go ahead and put that in the PayPal tip jar, because I'm going to pass it on to that initiative, and they're going to have programming and guest speakers and different events for the students in that initiative. So hello. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. So today, again, nothing formal planned. So if you have any comments or questions, you can go ahead and put those in the chat, but I will tell you kind of what I'm working on now and how things are going to go the next few weeks on the channel, and for probably the rest of the summer is the way this is going to go. So right now I'm working on some more videos on variable selection methods, and that will be the next few videos actually. So I'm actually working on the PowerPoint for the next video as we speak, and hopefully that'll be out, sometime soon. The limiting factor for me is just time. So I have 3 jobs. YouTube is one of my part-time jobs. I have a house to maintain. I try to exercise, 5-6 days a week, and just time. I'm just pressed for time, as many people are. So I will be doing the best I can to get some of those new videos out to you. I'm actually tomorrow on Sunday. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to exercise probably, and then head to the coffee shop and keep working on some videos for you for at least part of the day. I like to take Sundays mostly off if I can, just to rest and recuperate and kind of like, recharge. But I think tomorrow I might get up and head to the coffee shop and work on some new videos for you, or at least in the next video for you. So that's kind of what I have planned for the channel coming up here soon. So I am looking to reach out to some guests for future shows. So I've already put out some feelers for guests. I would really like to have more viewers on my live streams to talk about their journey, like I had Mark and Larry a few weeks ago, because my channel is not about me. As I've always said, my YouTube channel is never about me. It's not about me. I don't like personality-driven anything. I don't like personality cults. I don't like anything like that. So it's really about the viewer. So I'm trying to reach out to viewers that have gotten into statistics or data science or some other field that they needed statistics for, to come on the live stream and just talk about their journey and what they learned and what did and what didn't. So, yeah, so I'm going to reach out to them. If you have any guest suggestions, you can drop me a line on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on my website. There's a little form you can fill out if you have any suggestions for people that might be might be good guests. So let's see. So we can pull up a question here. So this is actually a very good question that goes to a lot of deeper things. So Heru, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. I'm 43 now. I'm planning to shift to the ML world. Is it possible at the age I'm at? So I'm 44. I will be 45 next month. Almost in a little bit over a month. So it's never too late to do what you want to do, because you might be 43 now, but you're going to be 44 anyway. So why not spend year 44 doing what it is you want to do? Now, of course, it depends on your prior education, whatever knowledge you have going into machine learning. However, I will say that if you have at least some background, the quality and amount of learning materials that are out there now are just massive. And you can find a person or a course or a book or whatever else that fits how you want to learn. And a lot of it's free, like my YouTube channel and other YouTube channels, that's free. So yes, it is absolutely possible to be in your 40s like I am and get into these topics, assuming you have some background knowledge and you have an idea of what you want to do. I will also add, in a way, that being in your 40s or 30s, wanting to go into these topics can actually be a benefit, because having lived longer, you have seen more, you've kind of been through more life than maybe someone half your age. You've assumed you've been out into the working world, you have seen history unfold, so you have sort of more domain knowledge and have just seen more things. So that can actually be a benefit. So if you can learn the ML and stats and stuff, and then pair that with the knowledge you have just having lived for those years, that can actually be very powerful, because you can put those two together. And I'm not saying a younger person is necessarily disadvantaged or anything, but having seen more and experienced more can actually be of value if you know how to communicate that. So no, it is not too late. Never too late. Let's see here. Another question here. So, big fan of your videos. Thank you. Could you please create a pedagogy of your videos so that we know from where to start and know the stepwise path from noob to intermediate to advanced? So if anyone isn't aware, all of my YouTube playlists are in sequential order, and then inside the playlist, they are sequential from beginning to end. So if you look at the thumbnails on my videos, it'll say playlist 14, video 1, playlist 14, video 2. So that is one step above playlist 13, one before playlist 15, and then you follow the videos in that playlist, and that walks you through from the very beginning, like for beginners, to more advanced. So on my little website, I have all the playlists listed, so you can click on one and just watch that playlist. You can go to the next one, click that playlist. Also on my YouTube homepage, the playlists are all there. So just pay attention to the way the playlist is named, and then the video, how it's named, and the thumbnail, and you can just do them one after another. It's basically a whole course in statistics if you start at the beginning. And it covers almost everything. It doesn't cover every single thing, but it covers almost everything that I think is important, from descriptive statistics all the way up through like logistic regression, model building, and stuff like that. So I know people actually watch it that way. They will actually go back to like the first playlist, like playlist 2, I think is the biggest, the first playlist that has a lot of material in it. They'll start at playlist 2, watch all the playlist 2, take notes, then start at playlist 3, then watch all the playlist 3, take notes, 4, and they just keep going all the way through them at their own pace. So yes, so they are all in order from playlists and then inside each playlist. So, but if you have any questions, you can't find that, just send me a message or something like that, and I will definitely send you the link to anything that can walk you through that. So, all right, what else we got here? Good questions. Let me look here. Da-da-da-da. Let's see. Can do some videos on statistical analysis in equity markets. So, finance is not necessarily my area of expertise per se. I do have some videos, and of course, there is some overlap, especially when you get into regression with that and the kind of metrics and time series analysis. So, there's some there. There are some basic statistical things you can do with equity data. So, the variance of returns, price fluctuations and stuff like that. Of course, correlations. Of course, you can do some simple things with correlations. So this is a very, very broad topic. Statistical analysis in equity market is a massive area. So maybe might have to be something more specific if there's anything particular that you might be interested in. So, hi Isaiah. Hope you're well. Hope the writing is going well. And you have in your show tomorrow, which I will be at. So good to see you, Isaiah. So can you please tell me how the p-value for the test of intercept and the test of slope is calculated in linear regression? I think I have videos on that. In deeper into the regression playlists. So, but actually those tests, the t-tests, are just like any other t-test that you might be familiar with. So if you look at the output like in Excel or something like that, it will give you a t value and then a p value. And the formula for that is very similar to other ones. So look sort of deeper into the playlists. I think I talk about coefficients, and I'm pretty sure I do significance tests in there. I can't think of the exact video because I have like 200 and something videos at this point, but I do believe I cover that if you want to look at that. Now the intercept, it depends on what you're doing, whether that's really important or not. But of course, if you standardize all your variables, the intercept goes to 0, and that creates standardized coefficients, which some people find easier to interpret. So a couple of things you can do there. All right. That's the best I can do sort of off the top of my head. But if you have any other questions, just send me a message and I'll do my best to help out the best I can. Let's see. Shareem, thank you for the question. It's very good to see you. Appreciate it. I wonder if you have videos about time series and forecasting, as I found that material to be quite complicated, yet I can't find any on your playlists. So I think I have some basic information. Let me go back. I'm going to go to my channel real fast. I can't see the chat while I do this. Do I have some on time? I do. I thought I had some earlier ones on time series. Somewhere in my videos, I do some basic time series, like the MAD, the MAPE, and stuff like that, I think. I can't remember exactly where it's at. So I think there might be some in there. Ooh, there we go. Time. So I'll tell you what it is. I have one video on time series forecasting and an operations management 101 video from many years ago. So that's where I remember where it was. So let me go back to the original question now that I'm back on this screen. So time series is something I've gotten a lot of requests for, and I think that's something I will do because one, I find it interesting. It is related to regression in many ways. So a lot of things you can do sort of a crossover between time series and regression. So I do think that's something I'm going to do at some point. Again, the limiting factor is just my time. So time, YouTube's not my full-time job. It would barely pay me enough it barely pays me enough to eat. if that's all I did. And I'd be homeless. That's how little it pay. Education YouTube does not pay very much. So whatever time I put into it has to be well spent. But time series is something I'm interested in myself personally, and it is something I would like to do definitely in the future. I just can't promise or say when that would be. So what else we got here? Thank you very much. Oh, that's very kind of you. 96 in my graduate regression and statistical modeling course. It's a better grade than I got in my graduate stats course because it wasn't taught very well. So thank you. I'm glad that was helpful. And yeah, appreciate that very much. Yep. Huge fan. Trust me, I'm a bigger fan of you. So that's why I do this, is to be your fan and your supporter. But thank you for the very nice comment. What else do we got here? Keep the questions coming. So linear regression has some assumptions related to errors that are normally distributed, that the errors are normally distributed in Gaussian. So if we're talking about just ordinary least squares regression. So obviously we're going to check for heteroscedasticity or homoscedasticity. That's a very hard word to say. When we look at our residuals, so we'll just have to do some residual analysis to see the shape, the pattern of our residuals, which we should always be doing, because the linear may not be the best model. We might have to do something else or transform our variables in some way. Okay. What else? So Fred asks, can you talk about the pros and cons of learning R versus Python versus both for doing statistical computing work? Perennial question that almost everyone who does this type of work is asked every time that they, appear on a live stream or someone else's live stream, whatever else. So I'm not a programmer by training or by mindset. I was programming when I was in elementary school, programming in BASIC, but it never really stuck with me. For some reason, it's just something. I was programming turtle graphics and logo and all kinds of stuff when I was younger, but it never really stuck. So for me, a programming language is just a tool, like a hammer in my garage or a paintbrush or my lawnmower. It's a tool to do something that I need to get done. So I don't have any heart in either one of them. So what I tell people is to learn the one that you think you can use best, that suits your needs the best, that you think maybe a future employer might require you to know. I know that R is more like a precision tool in statistics and stuff like that, whereas Python is more of a general purpose language you can do many other type things with. So it really just depends. There's no right or wrong answer. Some people find Python easier to learn at the beginning because it is very user friendly. It's easy to understand and read and interpret, like the actual code. But R is really good as well. So there is no right or wrong. I like to dabble in both, honestly, and just I learn the pieces of each one that I need, and then I just leave it at that. So no easy question. Of course, R and Python aren't the only thing. They're the two freeware ones, of course, but there are other things to learn out there as well. So, all right. Another good question. So I find it difficult to apply the knowledge. Is there a good book that you would suggest for practicing problems? I'm not sure books are good for practicing problems in the way that we do in, statistics and data science nowadays. It's good to look at the books and kind of see how the formulas work and kind of see some example problems and how they might be applied, in real life. But a lot of the valuable things that are out there right now are actually competitions or, other membership type websites that unfortunately most of them are not free. However, you can be given a problem and it's sort of a group and everyone comes up with a solution and can kind of compares their work. And of course, you have an artifact in your portfolio after you're done with that. So a lot of the application, as in like true application to like real life problems, actually happens online in, certain memberships or Kaggle or whatever else it might be. But I do think like a lot of books will come with data sets that you can practice on and play with. That's a good place to start, but it's actually, doing and actually trying to solve even a basic problem that you can find in a book. So that's the beginning of the journey. And then there are many, many books to even do that. Amazon is a good place to start. Disclaimer, I work for an education publisher. So the books that we create for higher education are very, very good. And of course, those are used in colleges, but you can find, previous editions that are just completely sufficient, but you just get the book. You don't get the online courseware. You just get the book that are very, very easy to read and understand. So if you go to my LinkedIn profile and look at the header in my LinkedIn profile, that's sort of the main series of books that I work on in my day job. Not all of them, but that's sort of the family of books that me and my team that I'm on work on. So those are good places to start if you can find a previous edition, because it's very crystal clear. Those books read very clearly. That's why I recommend those. And I used those books years before I ever started working at my current employer. Like I found a book, I think in like a Half Price Books or something like that. I was reading through it. I'm like, this is the clearest explanation I think I've ever read about like whatever it was, confidence intervals, whatever it was. So I picked up that book like 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. And then I ended up working at the company that published it by complete coincidence. It was just completely random. A lot of random chances happened when I got hired. So look at those books. All right. Let's see. Videos for mathematics behind other advanced machine learning algorithms. I probably will not do stuff like that for several reasons. One, there's already a mountain of content out there on those sorts of things that I think people do very, very well. So whether it's on YouTube, the ISL book covers a lot of the mathematics and so forth. But it's also true, and this is just my current bias, that for me, unless I'm getting a PhD or something in computer science, like the mathematics behind those things, to me personally aren't relevant because I let the computer do the work. So I know this maybe not a popular opinion, but I let the theoreticians create the algorithms and the computer compute them. And then I get on solving a business problem or something like that. So that's more in the advanced mathematics and theoretical side of these things, which on some level I do find interesting, but because there's only 24 hours in a day, I let them work on that kind of stuff. I let the programmers create the computer software, and I trust that they know what they're doing, and I just use the tool to solve whatever problem. So that's kind of how I view that. All right. Sweet. Natty. Congratulations on your econometrics exam. So I'm glad to have helped some bit, but you did all the hard work. So give yourself a pat on the back, do something nice for yourself for your hard work. But great job. Let's see. For a multiple linear regression model by splitting the data as training and validation set, how can I split data and test them? Depends on what software you're using per se. So you can do it manually if you want. You can actually just split it manually in Excel or something like that and create your sets. Of course, depending on the way the data is structured, you might want to stratify your sample. So you don't, depending on if you're doing, well, this is not classification. I'm going to assume this is not classification. However, you may want to stratify your sets to make sure you have representation in both sets. And of course, a lot of software packages can do that for you. So, R can do that, Python can do that. One of the tools I like to use is called Orange. It's Orange Data Mining. It's a point and click kind of visual programming. You can do it manually in there by point and click, or you can do it automatically. It'll just choose whatever percentage you want, and then the percentage cutoff, and it'll do it automatically. So there are many ways to do that, but I do recommend when students are first learning, things like the train test split, to actually do it manually to kind of see how it works. So you train, then you test it out, and then look at the residuals to see exactly how it fit. Like, do it manually first, then go in and do the automated stuff. So you get the concept in your mind. Let's see. All right. We're going right along here, everybody. Awesome to see your wonderful, beautiful avatars and your questions. They thank you for the effort you put in creating videos, lectures. Helped me a lot on my journey. Great. Right, Marlos, that's why I do them, just to help you a little bit along your journey. If I can get you across a little obstacle on your way, and then on to bigger and better things, that's my goal. And I'm glad that you found them helpful. So you are very welcome. So George says, advanced placement statistics books have a lot of practice tests. Yes, they do. So there are all kinds. I have a whole shelf full of a lot of books over here to my right that are full of all kinds of problems and practice tests and stuff like that. So you can find those used. You can find many of them online. There are flashcards that you can buy. There are all kinds of things you can use to practice. So, all right. All right. So what part that we should need to learn and master it from Python? That certain part to be good data analysts. So again, I'm not a programmer by my day job or training or anything like that. I just use it as a tool. So one thing I recommend is just to learn how to efficiently use the packages that help you achieve what you need to achieve. And if you're working in like Jupyter Notebook to save those notebooks, you can reuse that code for other purposes. Comment in your code and notebooks so you know what you're doing along the step. But again, as someone who just uses the tools that other people make, I think just learning there's a lot of standard things you do, right? When you import data in, how many times do you type import this, import that, read CSV, So those are all sort of standard things. You can kind of have like a flow or a pipeline of what you want to do that you apply to similar problems. So get those things out of the way. But then other than that, it's just practice. And if you look at learning materials, whether it's R, Python, or something else, what I like to do is like lay out like 4 or 5 different learning materials, whether it's books or a website or whatever else. And I look at all of them and I'm like, okay, what do they have in common? So if the same thing appears in 4 or 5 of these things, I can kind of assume that that's pretty important. So I want to make sure I try to focus and learn that, right? So you can approach things that way because there are a lot of overlaps and similarities, and those overlaps and similarities in learning materials tell you, or at least inform you about what is important and what is standard, knowledge, what should be known across the discipline. So that's one way I approach that. All right. This is fantastic. Adrian, how you doing, my friend? I'm well, thank you very much. I got up this morning, went on a 3-mile walk like I usually do, walk like I do every Saturday. It clears my mind. It gets me out in nature. It's when I post pictures on Saturday mornings on my LinkedIn, that picture is from my morning hike, a walk. Part of it's a hike, part of it's a walk. At a park. It's a few miles from my house. So Saturdays are good. Weather permitting, I get up and do that and take my time and have my breakfast and my coffee, and I'm good. So overall, I'm doing well. I just need 36 hours in a day is my problem. But other than that, I am doing fine. Thank you. Da-da-da-da. Yes, Minitab is another software package that people use. I actually like Minitab in many ways. Of course, it's not free. JMP is another really good one. SPSS, of course, is another one. So there are all kinds of computer programs out there, both free and paid, that you can check out. And there are also Excel. Excel is obviously can do some things. Of course, Excel is limited to the data analysis tool pack and its own functions. However, there are some Excel add-ins that I think are really good. The number one, my favorite, is XLStat. So XLSTAT. It's a company based in France, and I've worked with them. Our team has worked with them for several years now. And they can get Excel to do things I didn't think it could do. And they're really nice people. So you can check that out. I actually use that in some of my videos for the output. All right. Hey back. Good to see you. We got greetings from Edmonton. Emmanuel, how you doing? I do want to get back up to, I assume this is Edmonton in Canada. Want to get back up there sometime soon. Like I've always said, Vancouver, my trip to Vancouver was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. I love to go back there or some other part of the Great North. Plus, I like the cool weather myself. So greetings. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see what else here. Best book for statistics and which software is best? Yeah, I kind of answered this one a few minutes ago. The best book for stats is the one that resonates with how you learn best. So, there are some standard ones out there depending on what level you're at. If you have access either electronically or in person to again, we're all over the world. So I'm not making assumptions about where people are, like that. So what I tend to do, at least where I am, is, now that COVID is winding down, at least here, thank goodness, I will go to a used bookstore and just kind of look through that section and kind of just pick some off the shelf and read them and say, okay, I like how this book explains this. So this is one I might want to get, or go on to Amazon and look at reviews and see what people say. You got to take some of those with a grain of salt, but in general, those are good ones to reference. Kind of the wisdom of the crowd. I kind of go that way. Some books have a long lineage. So the stats books I work on in my day job are in their 15th edition. They've been around almost as long as I've been alive. So they have advanced and been revised and updated over all those years, and they are still by far the market leaders. So those are good books to find used as well for stats. As far as the software, again, it just depends on what your end goal is, which one you kind of like best. So when the R or Python debate, I always say try them both, and if one resonates with you the best, then go with that one. At least at first, because once you kind of learn the basics of one, picking up another is easier, because there are similarities and there are commonalities in how some of these programming languages work. Now, the syntax is going to be slightly different, but the structure and the way things flow are similar. They're kind of doing the same thing. So once you learn one, learning the other is a bit easier. So go with the one that resonates with you first, and then you can always go back and pick up the second one if you want to learn more about that. So that's one suggestion I have, which there are many, many suggestions. Greetings from India. I love my viewers from India. You're so fantastic and loyal to me and the channel, and I hope I can someday come visit you and pay that back. I could never do enough. So greetings, and it's good to see you. Let's see. Recommend some websites for practicing stats learning. So if we're talking about actual practical practice, then depends on what we mean by practicing it. So a lot of people watch my videos. They'll download the data set, which I do provide on almost all my videos. There's a link in almost all the descriptions. You can go download the data. You download it. It's usually an Excel file. And then you can open that up and follow along if you want. That's practicing. Of course, there are other sites that are free and paid that do competitions and other types of things. Kaggle is a famous one. I think Maven Analytics is another one that people seem to like. That's not cheap, but it's supposedly really good. You can try those. If you're on LinkedIn, which you are because you're posting from LinkedIn, there are other groups that you can join and ask people in those groups what sort of worked for them, what are the resources they have experienced, and get some feedback that way too. So just ask around, search around, and see what works for you. But practicing stats can take many, many forms. I've actually gone up like in my kitchen or outside and just found something and just measured it, like on a scale or with a ruler or something like that, to get some sort of natural real world data to play with and just analyze it. I think I did something one time with M&Ms, the candy M&Ms, so the peanut M&Ms, and weighed each one and noted its color and stuff like that, just to see if there was any differences, between the different colors of peanut M&Ms, which I don't think there was, and the general weight of them. So you can practice data just wherever you are, because you can collect data, so that's just, you can make up your own if you want to. Okay, so what do we got here? We're going great. This is going great. So awesome to see you. So the best way to reach me is either on LinkedIn. You can message me on LinkedIn. You can message me on YouTube. There are ways on YouTube. I think there's like a messaging feature or something like that. Or on my website, there is a little contact me form, and that'll send me an email if you have any questions. So I will say this while I'm on this topic. So the YouTube content I create for you is in some ways kind of as is. So I don't have a whole lot of time, because I do have 3 jobs, like I've said, to answer individual specific type questions unless it's something really quick. Like I have people send me their papers and theses and want my view on all something like that, which is interesting, but I don't have the time to do something that involved. So if it's a quick question that I can answer easily, LinkedIn, YouTube, or my website are the best ways to get a hold of me. So approach and methods should follow for feature selection while building a model. This is actually the content I'm working on right now on my channel. So for traditional multiple regression, feature selection techniques is a whole branch of that. So there are model building techniques like forward, backward, stepwise, and best subsets. Best subsets tends to be popular now because computing power has caught up with it. Before, doing it by hand, could you imagine doing all that by hand? So best subsets is pretty popular because it gives you all the best models of certain sizes, and you can limit the number of variables you want in your model and so forth. So for categorical variables, depending on the software you use, it will do the categorical work in the background for you, or you can create dummy variables for your categories if you want. However, depending on the categories, the way the data is structured, let's say like the variable region, let's say north, south, east, west. What a lot of computer software programs will do is pull out that variable until the end and then treat it as like a set, as those four indicator variables as a set, and then apply it. So it just depends on the software you're using. But as far as selecting features, measures like adjusted R-square. So I just did a video on that talks about how models are affected based on the number of features that are in the model relative to the number of observations and things like that. So adjusted R-square is one measure. Standard error of the regression is another measure. Mallows C, which is what I'm working on now, is another measure. There's the AIC, the AICC. There are many other measures we can use to determine which model gives us the best variance bias trade-off. And that's what I'm working on right now. So, all right. What else we got here? Answering the question. Thank you for your time. You are very, very welcome. Thank you for your efforts. So I'm just the messenger. You have to do all the hard work after watching. And here's the thing. Look, it's not like humble bragging or anything. It's really, I just put the video out and people come to it or they don't. So for every individual who sits and watches a video, there are many other people who just don't put in the effort or watch for 90 seconds and then stop. So the people who usually tend to succeed are the ones that just keep going and just keep going. Another step, another step, another step, all a step backwards. That happens. Another step forward, another step forward, another step forward. So the real heroes in all this are you all, for putting in the time, putting in the effort, sitting down, in your house or apartment or in a cafe or outside or at the kitchen table with your children or wherever. You're the ones doing the hard work. I just put the people, me and people like me, just put the content out there for those who want to put in the work. So it's all you. All right. Thanks for this. Passed me my statistics exam. My videos did not pass the statistics exam. You did. You did the work. You took the exam and you passed. If my videos were able to help you in that regard, I'm very happy with that. But Satya, you did the work and you should be proud of it. So I am for you. Any recommended books or online courses for data viz, data storytelling? There are so many courses and books when it comes to data viz and storytelling right now. I think, pardon me disappearing for a second. So this is obviously a very famous book right here that people really, really like when it comes to storytelling with data. So if you can find this, new or used or whatever, I can definitely recommend that one. The other one, I'm gonna fall. So this is the big book of data dashboards that people tend to like. It is very detailed and very colorful. So how to make dashboards and stuff like that. So this one is a good book. And actually, one of the authors is down the road from where I am at. That's a good one. The team I work on at Cengage, we're releasing a data viz book as we speak. So, which will be used in higher education and all over the world. So if you look at it's not available quite yet, but it should be at any moment. If you look at my LinkedIn header, you'll see that book at the very end. And if you're a professor or a student or something like that, that's used in higher education all over the world. So, with our Cengage Unlimited, you can get that and all the courseware as part of your course. So that's another one. But Udemy has a bazillion courses on data viz. Now, a lot of them are geared around a tool, whether it's Tableau or Power BI or Excel or something like that. And those are great. So you can actually combine learning a tool, the software, with the data storytelling into one course. But some are more software heavy, like click this, click that, do whatever else. Some are more conceptual, like the use of color and white space and data ink ratio and pre-attentive attributes and all those data viz things that are more conceptual. So it depends on what kind of flavor you want. All right. What else? Sorry, I'm just looking through some of the other comments. Keep going with regression. That's what my plan is for the next probably couple months. You know, I try to do a video every couple weeks, because that's kind of like it takes so much time to do a high quality video. Some people know, but a lot of people don't know just how much time. You know, Josh over at StatQuest has talked about this. I've mentioned this before. It can take dozens of hours, sometimes more, dozens of hours to create, you know, a 12-minute YouTube video. There is so much work that has to go into it. All the research, you know, making the content, double and triple checking all your math, making sure all the PowerPoint stuff works correctly. Of course, then you have to record it. That takes a long time. Then you have to edit it. That takes a long time. And you have to upload it and put the title and description. It just takes a very, very long time to get a video from idea to live. So I just do the best I can with the time I have. So right now I'm doing some more multiple regression videos over the next probably couple months. So that is what I am planning on doing. Let's see here. Hello. That's Ronan. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And I'm glad, and I thank you. I'm proud of the work that I do. But again, the world is a better place because of all the learners out there like yourself. So keep learning, keep going, keep digging, and achieve your goals. And that's how we'll hopefully get to a better place than we are now. So let's see here. Ooh. Good question, Fred. Do I have some videos on cluster analysis? Is this a topic you could do more of? So I do not have a video on cluster analysis. It is not traditionally part of, is not part of a traditional statistics course, at least as of now. It tends to come into the fore when you get into like analytics, like business analytics, and of course, machine learning and stuff like that. Depending on if you're going to do, well, when you get into like supervised and unsupervised situations, you're going to learn more of like the hierarchical regression, decision trees, clusters, and stuff like that. Those aren't typically part of a stats course. However, I do find them very interesting. I find them very useful. So at some point, yes, I would like to do videos about all of those things. However, there are already amazing pieces of content out there on YouTube already. So I'm hesitant to also do things that aren't really adding a whole lot when there's so much out there already. But I do have some ideas how to do some of these things differently. It's like sort of in my own way. So yes, at some point I could do those, and I really would like to do those. But again, I just need 36 hours in a day, like so many of us do. All right, a few more minutes. Yes, more than dozens of hours for sure. Yes, that is very, very true. Thank you, George. Reaching worldwide. Hello from Portugal. I would love to go to Portugal someday. This looks so beautiful. I'm more of a mountain, like nature, like a mountain nature type person. So I like the Northwest US, Washington, Oregon, Vancouver up in Canada type. That's kind of like Rocky Mountains here in the US. However, I would love to go to Portugal so that you kind of you can get everything all in one place. And yeah, I'd love to go there. So that's the thing about YouTube, at one point my goal was to be a professor, but now I get to teach the entire world. Like at the peak, I'm teaching 15,000 people a day during exam season. So what's better than that, All right. What else we got here? A few more questions, and then we're going to wrap this up so everyone can get on with their day. And I can see my parents later and work on some other stuff. So videos are very high quality. Thank you, Mandana. Thank you very much. Okay. Hello, good to see you. The videos on topics such as UMVUE, honestly, I'm not even sure what those are. So I'd have to look those up. But no, I would have to go see. All right. Greetings from Chile. Do you have any book recommendations for statistics applied to finance? Thank you so much. So, quantitative finance is really coming into the fore right now. It's still an area that's in development, I think. So, there are. Do I have one here? There are. I don't think I do down here. There are books that are dedicated to like data science and statistics and machine learning applications specific for finance, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. I know that they are out there. However, you will find a lot of finance examples just in general stats and data science and ML type things. So any business based title or piece of content is going to have finance in it. And this is also true for accounting, by the way. So data science and accounting is becoming big, and data viz is becoming big too. So sometimes you'll find this content in a business title, but there are ones out there that are more specific. So if anyone in the chat has any recommendations for a stats for finance title, drop it in. All right. Okay. What else we got here? Yes, there are mountains in Portugal. I would just like to go over to that part of the world for like 3 or 6 months and just roam around, but maybe someday. Okay. Hello from India. I hope things are going better there. I haven't been able to keep up with the news as much as possible, but I hope things are going better in India. I know a lot of people were just suffering tremendously. So I hope it's better. But thank you very much. So, Fred and Mount Adams. I've been to Mount Adams in so long. I love it down there. So, and I assume Fred is talking about Mount Adams in Cincinnati, which is sort of literally a little mountain on the east side of town. It's gorgeous up there. But yeah, I need to go downtown. All right. I live about 20 something miles north of downtown Cincinnati, so I don't get downtown as much as I'd like. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So I'm going to scroll up here through the chat to see if there's anything I might have missed during this. Let's see. So as of right now, next week will be similar to this week, just sort of a general Q&A and chat. So the live stream I'm doing now is only 5 episodes old. So I'm still trying to kind of learn how everything works. I'm trying to line up some guests here and there, but everyone's busy and I don't want to waste anyone's time. So I will be working on that as the live stream goes. But the default for the live stream is just me talking with you, answering your questions the best I can, and things like that. So let's see here. If anything I missed. I think I got to most of these questions and comments. Oh, let's see here. Is SQL necessary for data science jobs? I believe yes, it is. So I mentioned this in another live stream or another forum somewhere that SQL never went away, but it seemed to make a comeback recently, like really strong sort of comeback as a necessary skill to have. The level of skill you need to have is debatable, but obviously some basic SQL I think is very important because the speed at which we collect data or invent new ways to collect data, the speed at which we do that outpaces the speed at which we can really learn how to harness it, how to query it, how to pull it in a way that we can actually do something with it. At least that's my personal opinion. So being able to reach into these massive databases and pull out what we need to answer the question or to solve the problem is a huge skill to have. So I think some basic SQL at the very least is necessary to be able to work with, with that sort of data. And of course, tabular, data in tables isn't the only way to store data, but SQL is, I think, important. Yes. Right. How much time can we cover stats for data science? If you're referring to how much stats do you need to know to work in data science, I always tell people to learn, at the very least, learn statistics up through logistic regression. So, and the majority of that time, will be in linear, multiple, and logistic regression as kind of where I would go with that. So, all right. I'm not sure what that is, but I will note that down. I'm making a note to myself to look something up. Okay. All right. All right. Yes, regression is important in Forex. Yes. Logistic regression in finance. The more I learn, I've done a lot of videos on logistic regression. And of course, that's a very crossover technique between traditional statistics and machine learning. So it's amazing how many times everyone will try different models in their machine learning, their classifier. And the best one ends up being just logistic regression. Just good old-fashioned logistic regression. That's chapter 18 in the book next to me. I love logistic regression because if you can do linear regression, logistic is just a tweak, to that, and you interpret them the same way, and largely interpret them the same way, and it's not a black box algorithm. So I love logistic regression. So yes, definitely learn logistic, the basics of logistic. All right. I'm not sure I can really answer. I'll give this a shot, and this is going to be the last question, then we'll wrap it up. Career banker, how does data science help in case I wish to shift to functional domain banking, an IT company? I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but I will do my best. There are many things in banking where data science comes into play. The big one right now is fraud detection and anomaly detection. So, like, whenever I buy something that's over a certain dollar amount, like, my phone goes crazy because my bank, sends me a notification or calls me and says, hey, you bought this, over $200, whatever it is it you? So they are constantly out there looking at every purchase you make, where that purchase is made, what time that purchase was made. Have you purchased there before? What's the reputation of the vendor that you're purchasing from? So they collect all this information about a transaction, and then the bank will contact you. And I'm sure some of you probably had similar experiences. So fraud detection and anomaly detection are two very important things in banking right now. And there are other things that are based in the larger data science sort of field. So that might be something you want to focus on. Those are very important things field right now. And those are going to happen. Anomaly detection is actually it's been in other disciplines, but I think it's going to expand into other areas too, looking for these outliers, these sort of black swan things that we need to go look at and understand better. So, all right. Models with interaction terms. I do have some that cover that, but I can maybe try to do some more. So I will try to keep that in mind. Difficult understanding mathematics define support vector machines, especially as optimization. Resources for SVM and stuff like that. So the 100-page machine learning book is obviously a well-known, sort of beginner level type, understanding a little bit of the math and optimization of these algorithms and sort of how they work sort of under the hood. Depends on how deep you want to go. To be quite honest, I'm not all that interested in the mathematics behind these things, as I've mentioned before. So I leave that. There's only so many things that I can understand and know at one time. So I assume there are many people out there smarter than me that develop the mathematics behind these, and I trust them. Then me, I'm just out there to teach it and deploy it in terms of how we interpret it and conceptually what it's trying to do. So there are all kinds of resources out there that will go into more in depth on those. Let's see. All right, last few questions here because we're already over an hour, and I thought it was going to go 30 minutes, so it's fine. Not complaining. That makes sense out of deep learning. Got me on that one. Now when I see all these like network diagrams and stuff like that, I can sit there and like decode it and figure it all out, but I'm just like, okay, I trust that you all know what you're doing. It is very complex. Comfortable with the technique. That's just one thing about black box algorithms, that you really don't understand what's going on inside them, and it's hard to understand what's going on inside them. I tend to lean towards things that I can understand and explain, into my work. But of course, deep learning and stuff and other things like that are opening up the world in so many new ways. So just kind of having a general sense of what they do and how they work, and how we can go back and check them and update them. We always need to update these models over time as they make a prediction or something like that. If they make a mistake, we have to go back and analyze it and figure out where it went wrong and figure out how to tweak it or change it to make sure those mistakes don't happen again, or at least we can catch them. So, all right. Would you please come up with a video on support vector machines, SVM, to be built from scratch? So if I ever do videos on support vector machines, it will be from the perspective of how they're used, where to use them, and how to interpret them. If you're talking about the mathematics behind SVM, I will not do a video on that. That is not sort of my forte. I'm not really interested in the complex mathematics behind those sorts of things. So it'll be more as an application and conceptually what is going on. Now, there are many individuals out there that do the mathematics behind some of these, but I probably will not. Case studies with banking. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there are certain texts out there and trade books that do have finance and banking examples in them. You'll just have to go out and search using the other methods I talked about before. I might have one on my shelf here if I looked hard enough, but I can't think off the top of my head about a banking one per se. All right. Yeah, I think I answered that question. So, all right. Well, we went an hour, which I did not expect. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So the next video on the channel should be out relatively soon. I'm going to try to work on that and have it out the beginning of next week. So 19th, like the 20th, 21st, somewhere in there. I'm trying to have the next video out as much as possible. Things are opening up here where I'm at. Pretty much everything is pretty much back to quote normal. There's some social distancing going on inside places, but for the most part, the gyms are open, coffee shops are open, restaurants are open. So that'll open up my time to go in the evenings and work on YouTube type stuff. So that's going to be kind of how I approach things. And then here in the US, we have the 4th of July holiday weekend. So that July 3rd Saturday, I may or may not do a live stream because it is a holiday weekend. A lot of people go do things, and I might just take that weekend off for myself to recharge. I get some time off work during that period. So I'm not sure about July 3rd live stream, but we will see. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by the STATURDAY chat live stream here on the 12th. And thank you for all your questions. So I want to encourage you to keep working on it, keep learning. Let me know how I can help, and I will see you next Saturday, barring anything weird that happens. So appreciate all your support. And again, last thing I'll mention, please give a tip to the PayPal tip jar this month. I'm going to forward that on to the Belonging in Statistics Initiative that I talked about and how the guests on last week. So if you have $5, $10, go to my channel, click the PayPal tip jar. I'm going to pass it on to help those students in that sort of program. So, all right. Thank you all very much. And I wish you a very happy and healthy rest of your weekend. Take care and bye-bye.